Welcome to the 2013 Canadian Western Crop Tour. My first stop here is up in northern Ontario, just west of Thunder Bay. We're close to Rainy River, Ontario, and this is a soybean field that we're looking at here. We've been traveling for a couple of days, and it's been 25, 26 degrees, so you can see the soybeans. So this field looks pretty decent. We've come out of the ground. We can see the beans are at the 5-6 leaf stage. We're heading back into Minnesota, and then we're going to come back up towards Manitoba, so we'll officially start our Western Canadian tour in Manitoba, Saskatchewan, and eventually into Alberta. We just passed across from Minnesota to Manitoba. We're looking at another soybean field here in Manitoba on just approaching Highway 12, and the last few days have been dry, receiving temperatures of 25, 26, and looks like, again, this looks like a similar field we just saw in northern Ontario. We got 5, 6, 7 leaf stage. This is July 3rd. It's our third day of the 2013 Canadian Western Crop Tour. My name is Mo Agostino, Managing Commodity Strategist with Farms.com Risk Management, and we're just in Saskatchewan, middle of Saskatchewan, traveling south on Highway 11 away from Prince Albert. But this is a good canola field. This is one of the best canola fields we've seen in the last 3 days, traveling across Manitoba and Saskatchewan. Some areas here have seen too much rain, but this field looking pretty good compared to most of what we've seen. Welcome back. We're traveling in Manitoba on 52 West, and we finally got you some Western Canadian crops. It's a canola field compared to the corn and the beans that we're seeing. Some of the corn fields look short and dry. Some of the bean fields a little bit better, and this is probably one of the best fields I've seen of canola as we travel west across Manitoba. Well, we got Western barley field here as we're traveling north on Highway 16 towards Neepawa in Manitoba, and overall, if you look at the field, it's a little uneven, not bad. Many of these fields as we travel further north are actually quite wet. I mentioned earlier that we've been seeing a lot of water in the fields, and this is typical. This is canola field that looks a little bit later planted than some of the stuff we saw in southern Manitoba. This is one of the better fields that we've seen across our travels in Manitoba. Compared to the last canola field, you can see here that pretty even crop. While we're traveling west, finalizing our Manitoba 2013 Western Canadian Tour as we head into Saskatchewan now, but this is one of the last wheat fields here, and this one's not looking too bad, but talked to some locals here, and it looks like this southern, central, northern Manitoba, some areas got as much as 5 inches of rain last week, maybe 3 to 5 inches, so some areas worse than others. As I said earlier, the crops in the southern part of Manitoba did look better, particularly canola and wheat. We just crossed into Saskatchewan. We're on Trans-Canada Highway number 16, traveling towards Yorkton, and this is our first wheat field here in Saskatchewan. So we're not, unfortunately, traveling through the southern part of Saskatchewan. We just got too much territory to cover, but this wheat field not looking too bad, considering all the rain that they've gotten here in the last week or so. Well, we continue our travels in Saskatchewan on Highway Canadian Trans-Canada 16, going towards Foam Lake before we head north. And this is a canola field. We've seen better canola fields, particularly in southern Manitoba. This one's just probably planted a little later here in the central part of Saskatchewan. And you can see some drowned out areas here as well. So looking okay, but like I said, we've seen better fields. We're finally got into Alberta. We're just past Calgary on number 16 highway, Trans-Canada 16, going towards Hitton, Alberta. So this is a wheat field that you can see here. Not looking too bad, but very uneven. Again, moisture doing some stress to a lot of the crops in Manitoba and Saskatchewan. We've seen better fields than this, but you know, some of it is doing better. We're finalizing our crop tour for the 2013 Canadian Western Crop Tour. We're in BC. We're on Highway 7 around Kent, BC, which is about 75 miles east of Vancouver, the city of Vancouver, and we've got a couple cornfields we've seen along the way, even some western barley. Corn's looking pretty good here in BC. This corn's up to about kind of my waist high, maybe some, if you look further out, is maybe shoulder high. So a little bit of unevenness here in this field, but so far corn's looking pretty good here in British Columbia. Well, it's July 10th, and we're in one of the last fields as we travel across into the U.S. border in British Columbia, in Langley County, and you know, the last field we showed you in BC was corn. Unfortunately, we're not in the Peace River region of BC. That's where they grow a lot of wheat, oats, and barley. Those are the top three crops that are grown in British Columbia. Very small amount, most of it grown for feed. Some of the wheat for both feed and human consumption. Wheat, they grow about 121.6 million metric tons a year. So that's the largest crop, but it still only represents about 1% of total wheat grown in Canada. So British Columbia, probably a smaller province when it comes to growing some of the crops that we normally follow on the futures exchanges. That concludes our 2013 grain Western Canadian crop tour. As we've mentioned earlier, my biggest observation was that I felt that the crops yields would come in around average to below average. This doesn't look like a monster crop. Now, weather can change over the next few weeks, and that could change things, but in that first week of July, we're looking at a lot of moisture stressing crops, and again, average to below average yields. Until next year, thanks for watching. Take care.